Hi guys, I'm Brad, and welcome to the Great Hollywood Rewrite, where we take a look at some of cinema and TV's most troublesome titles and have a poke around under the hood. I'm joined today by John. Hi John.
Hey, Brad.
This week our audience selected The Predator from 2018, written by Shane Black and Fred Decker, and directed by Shane Black. But before we start a handsome collection of Machizo Skull trophies, if you haven't done so already, check out our website, thescriptdepartment.net, for all our latest projects. Also, you can follow us on social media, hit the links in the description, and of course, subscribe. Just search for the Script Department wherever you get your podcasts for daily episodes. So, John, I know we're big fans of the original Predator, as we've spoken about it many times. This is a bit further down the line. There are a few original parts with this film in Shane Black and the gang of gung ho loonies, as they're called in this. But it sort of hit a bit of a bum note at the cinema. What are your thoughts on The Predator?
I hate this movie. I really don't like it. I try to be as positive as I can sometimes in these episodes. I so excited about this film, so excited about the idea of Shane Black coming in as well, because I love The Nice Guys and I love what's the film he did with
Scanner
Robert?
Darkly.
I love that as well. What's
Yeah.
the other film? No, the one he did with the detective story with Val Kilmer as well. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah.
I love that film. Really love that film.
Sorry, it wasn't Scanner Darkly. It was Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That's what.
I just think Shane Black is he's a great old school screenwriter who can tell a great story, and he knows how to get into he knows what the audience are thinking a lot of the time, and shows like movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang show that he is very much in touch with how audiences follow these movies and follow these genres and so on. I can only chalk it up to maybe studio interference or something like that. I know that's the kind of go-to get out of jail free card, isn't it? But I was really let down by this film. I thought it was boring. I thought it was a bit creepy in parts in terms of the way the guys are kind of treating the only female character in this movie, I think, Olivia Munn's character. Not helped by some of the bad press the film was getting, because rightly so, because of certain people hired on the movie. Won't get into that, but it just I don't know, this film left a sour taste in people's mouths before it even went into the cinema, and I think those who did go in probably didn't have a good time with it. I can't imagine I was the only one. How'd you feel with it?
Well, I think it's not without its problems. I wouldn't go as far as saying I hate it. I know there was production issues. They refilmed the third act, or most of the third act, because audience didn't receive it very well. And the third act does feel tacked on, which again, you can never get to the bottom of the reasons why, because you won't know the full true story. But as we know from a number of other films we've done on this podcast, where there has been a change in direction, a change in director, a change in the studio's decision making. I mean, we're not going to go. This was before the likes of the Batgirl debacle we've seen right now. Like, the studio would rather get stuck in and try and fix it in their own mind rather than cancel it or just let it go and see what happens. There were parts of this film I really, really liked, because I liked the original. So they were taking bits of the original. So the camaraderie and the wisecracks and that kind of stuff, that was there. Again, it wasn't balanced against the terror, which we needed. There isn't any terror in this film, but I really, really, really liked that. I was like, when I saw it on the promos, I was like, oh yes, yeah, we're gonna get a bunch of wisecracking dudes listening to Little Richard in a helicopter again. It's gonna be amazing. It wasn't quite that. There are mistakes made here that were also made in the AVP series, and I thought lessons would have been learned, but they weren't. But I feel there's enough ingredients here to have a good film. It's just there are some things where it's gone a little bit off pieced for various reasons. It doesn't feel like it was entirely tight. It might. I don't know if
Yeah.
the script was finished before they
Well,
filmed, or whether they changed it too many times before they filmed. But bits I
th-
loved, bits I didn't.
I just watched Prey last
Mm,
week, and I really loved Prey. Like I loved it. I thought it was so incredibly well written, well made. Like real beautiful. I mean, you could take out all the Predator stuff
mm,
out of it, and you would have a beautiful Terrence Malick style film. With these beautiful scenic backdrops and all that kind of stuff. It and I watched immediately. Then I went back and rewatched the original Predator film with Schwarzenegger. And one of the things I noticed was the Predator in both those films served as an opportunity to explore a a culture or the way a society reacts to crisis or whatever, and this might be like a really over the top reading of Predator, but when I was watching Predator again, I was saw this is about like these are the macho kind of male, the answer to everything is the gun. It's that typical kind of 80s character archetype, action hero archetype, having to deal with the fact that they're not the hero in their own, like they're not the
mm,
strongest person in their story anymore. And I love the idea that Prey did that as well. Like here are these people who can hunt a wild cat, or a wild a jaguar, or some sort of predatory character like that, or a predatory creature like that. They can outsmart the bear. They can and now they are the ones
mm,
becoming the prey because of these outsiders, first of all, but also we're observing all of this. It's like we're witnessing a reaction from these characters through the eyes of the predator. I didn't get anything like that. It felt like this movie, Shane Black's movie, just was a bunch of people with guns shooting predators.
mm,
And I do feel that as much as Predator is a movie about just a bunch of action heroes from the 80s trying to make their way through the jungle, there's also this kind of exploration of the male action hero archetype.
mm,
There is actually a screenwriting lesson in watching Predator. There's a screenwriting lesson in watching Prey.
mm.
I don't feel there's anything to this. That was the way I felt about the action. It's the way I felt about the setup and the conceit and all that. And it did feel like it was a story that this wasn't the right time for the Predator to come into the world. It felt, if you want to tell the best story, I don't know. That was my
I
feeling
think
on it.
so. Yeah, I mean, Prey is just spectacular.
Mm,
I mean, it is. It's been out a couple of weeks now, or a week, or
mm,
something, and the conversation is rife of Easter eggs and all this kind of stuff.
mm,
Even the little medical pouch that she holds, and it's like, is that the same as Billy's medical pouch? Now he was Sue, and
mm.
uh,
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
I mean, he sort of holds it, doesn't he?
Mm,
At times of um, fear and things like that. But I mean, she's Comanche and he's Sioux, so there is a there's an unlink there.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's loads of conversations about what's happening and the structure of it. And yes, in Predator and in Prey, there's this whole thing that they are the top of the food chain, and not even just like in their section. They are top of their section of the food
Yeah.
chain.
Yeah.
They're top of people around
Mm,
them. They're absolute top of the food chain, and then all of a sudden they're literally getting mowed down, and
mm,
it's like, great, I like that. I like that gives fear to what
mm,
happens. There's a few points I want to go through here. The first one is about that, so it's a good segue to get going on these the points we're going to discuss. So the first one is the lack of sort of suspense and horror. So we've got the quips and the one-liners and stuff like that, which replicates that feel of the original. I mean, Shane Black in the original was right in the middle of that as Hawkins. He's like now very misogynistic jokes that he was telling. It was sort of like the core of this, like, ragtag band of absolute alpha males. I mean, they went over the top with it, but it
mm,
works so well. And
It did,
in
and sorry, just to highlight that, I was actually surprised. When I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, come on, Shane!" Like, and like some of the lines he comes out with, the jokes he comes out with, like you just kind of roll your eyes now. But that joke that he tells makes who's the Sioux soldier?
Billy,
Billy.
yeah.
He makes Billy laugh, like bellow out loud. The predator records it and then recycles that as his kind of villainous laugh as he's
Yeah,
about to blow himself up. And like there's actually this through line. Like Hawkins tells a joke that then has a ripple all the way right to the end of the movie. And is the that's very clever when you think about it. I mean, yeah, the joke might not hold up, but that is very clever the way they
yeah,
embedded that kind of that device. There's none of that in this movie, but you
yeah.
still get the misogyny in this movie.
Yes, I
And
think the
so
the quotable lines are
yeah,
lacking.
yeah,
There are some quotable lines in it, but not like in the original Predator. I mean,
no,
when Prey came out and Amber Midthunder started becoming more noticed on Twitter by a completely different audience, um, both Jesse Ventura and Bill Duke tweeted her directly
right,
saying, "This is like I think Ventura was like, this is amazing. You ain't got time to bleed" or something like this, and Bill Duke was like, "Yeah, this film kicks ass. Turn around." And I was like, "Yes, they're quoting their own quotes because they understand
yeah,
what that film meant and what it still means now." Again, I think the message has probably evolved slightly over time because it'll be focusing less on the rippling abs of um, the lead actors in it, and it's more on the I think there's a message on society in there, a number of messages on society, which have carried through to Prey eventually. But in the middle here, in the Predator, we are, we're in unusual territory, really. We're trying to evolve, but not quite. So I think there's with the first point is there's a lack of horror and suspense. The
mm,
guys are very quippy, but we don't necessarily get this ultimate alpha male being mowed down, and now they're terrified of this thing. So that is lacking in this film. Um, Second point is they completely changed the reason the predators come to the planet. So
mm,
originally they were coming to hunt only when it's hot. You know, that was the thing, and it was great. Okay, oh my god, it's hot. They're going to come and just wipe everyone out. They're collecting skulls. They're getting trophies. Great, but they changed that. No, no, what they're actually doing, they're collecting skulls to scrape a bit of DNA off and you know blend themselves into it to make themselves better hunters. And at the time, I think Alien Covenant and Terminator Genesis both sort of retconned a load of stuff, and it felt like it was a thing to do at the time, like a trend.
yeah,
And that sort of links to the next point, which the Predator motivation seemed a little off. They wanted to take the planet because they like it hot, global warming. Great, at least they're trying to at least get some sort of message in there. But it seemed quite convoluted. They were coming back to scrape a last little bit of DNA before it was too late, and I don't know, it just felt a bit weird. It was like, why have we changed it so much? They're
mm,
now going to invade and take instead of just hunt. And then that goes further into another mistake that we've seen before: the rogue predator with human DNA that is helping the humans. Like this
yeah.
happened in Alien versus Predator, and it was weird. It derailed the film. I mean, it was pretty much in coming off the tracks anyway. But like that bit was like, oh no, they're running slow motion with the head dreadlocks in the oh no, and that's kind of we learned that lesson before, and it's kind of gone there again. This predator was trying to work with the humans. They're supposed to be terrifying things that will just rip your spine out with no sort of second thought.
Mm,
And I think to have that, yes, they're trying to show some sort of intelligence because these guys have harnessed intergalactic travel, so they're not just brutes. But the whole working with humans thing's a bit weird, and it made the feuding predators seem a bit, I guess, trite. It didn't
yeah.
feel like there's a rift in the clans and all this kind of stuff. It was like, oh no, this guy, he's just helping the humans out because he doesn't want them to lose the planet. We don't know why. Is it because he's been spliced with human DNA? It just feels a bit weird.
It does, this is a trend with Shane Black. When he did Iron Man 3, and I know that Shane Black wouldn't be the only creative voice in those movies, in Marvel movies. I mean, there's going to be Kevin Feige and so on would have a say in the direction this is going to go in. But and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I haven't checked, but maybe Shane Black didn't write Iron Man 3. But I don't think it's a coincidence that Iron Man 3 and this movie both seem to be dismissive of the lore that came before it. Because in Iron Man 3, it's the Mandarin is the big villain, and then it turns out, oh no, that's just all that organization, that's all just uh, a front,
Yes,
for Guy Pearce, and then they've retconned all that now later. But the idea that he's been dismissed, not that he's dismissive, but he's playing with lore in a way that audiences didn't really agree with, and he's doing the same here with this movie. And
mm.
maybe he didn't have a say in Iron Man 3, but it kind of feels coincidental to me that these two big heavy hitter franchise movies that he's had a part in, both his contributions to them are dismissive of the movies or the ideas and stories that have come before.
But
Do
I
you, do
think,
you, do you get what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. I think there is a weird thing with sequels because
Mm,
they can be hit and miss in any franchise. And the thing with a sequel, it needs to follow something. It needs to
mm,
keep a thread of DNA, or at least something from the other
yeah.
films. I mean, if you look at the Harry Potter films, they are one big story, right? If you
Mm,
look at I know there were some mishits with Rocky, but if you look at the Rocky Hill films, they were one big story, and these were successful franchises. And when you go too far away from the tree that the apple fell from, it's people start to get pissed off because
yeah.
it's people care about these things. So Shane Black is a phenomenal writer, he's a
Mm,
great director, and he's good at really like twisting things so they're not what you expect, particularly as a director. Particularly as a director. So it's like he'll take a type of film and make it feel quite different.
yeah.
I mean, even like Lethal Weapon spawned so many films, and there'd
Yep.
been cop films before. There'd been technically buddy cop films before, but not like that. And he wrote that to be very different. He wanted to break the molds. But when you do that in a sequel, you break the mold of the original, and it can, yeah, it can cause a few waves. Which I think
I
with
love
this
Shane.
one,
I love Shane Black as a
yeah, I'm
director.
a
I
big
do.
fan.
I get excited when I hear he's doing something. The Nice Guys is one of my favorite movies of the
Mm.
last like 15 years, whatever. And I mean, I love that film so much. But yeah, I feel like and again, that's why I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt and
Mm.
say studio interference.
Yeah,
Because it feels like it.
well, let's say that for Shane. I mean, I think we're both big fans of
Yeah,
him. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We're big fans of Shane.
The last 2 points on the list are at the end we get the ultimate predator and the dogs. It's just they're not even people in suits. Like that's completely changing like the structure of what the predator is. It sort
Mm.
of takes it out of reality a little bit. And then the final scene, which I know was changed because they couldn't get Schwarzenegger, is the predator killer suit thing. Like,
That was so
oh
disappointing,
no!
that moment.
But it was supposed to be Dutch coming out of a
Yeah,
portal or something. I can't remember the exact thing, but Dutch was going to appear and basically, if you want to live, come with me. He obviously wasn't going to say that, but that was his thing.
yeah, yeah.
And then there's going to be a sequel with Arnie. Great. And they couldn't. I think they couldn't pay him off to paying him enough for half a day in Canada or wherever they filmed. So they did that. So I that doesn't. It's
I've,
just
I've, I've, I've,
Deus Ex Machina suit. There you go.
I've,
There
a,
it
I have a
is.
question for you on the suit, right?
Yeah.
Do you think if they had paid like an obscene amount of money to get Schwarzenegger up to do it, do you think the fact that like word of mouth would have spread like the way with the Spider-Man movies, word of mouth started
Mm.
to the new Spider-Man movie, word of mouth started to get people. I know people were going to go see that movie anyway, but there was a big audience who went into that film because they'd been told a certain people are going to be in this,
Yeah, yeah.
and do you think the word of mouth that Schwarzenegger's in it would have made people flock to the cinema and would it have been financially worth it, do you think?
I don't know because I don't know how much he would have cost.
But any like a reasonable
Yeah.
amount, like I mean, they're obviously not going to throw like 50 million at him or anything. But like
I don't.
if
We
it
might
was,
have
if it
asked for that
was,
though. I don't know. Or like, how much does Arnold Schwarzenegger cost for half a day?
yeah. But that's what I mean. You know, it probably would have been something reasonable. But that, you know, you can tell they were trying to go cheap as well in certain
I,
parts, I
I,
think.
I,
And
I think so. Yeah, but I mean, if the budget of this thing was like 88 million, it says
mm,
online. Is 1 more million? Would that be,
yeah,
would that affect it that much?
yeah.
Like what 1.5% of the budget or something to get Arnie in, like that could have made it a different film. I mean, it would have definitely had a different ending, and
What
it
does
would
it
probably had a
say?
different lead up to the
What is,
ending.
what does it say about the film, or about, you know, the vision that the studio had for this franchise, to say that Arnold Schwarzenegger, the man who will continuously find ways to have himself back in a Terminator movie,
Mm,
even if like at a certain point we're kind of, and I love Terminator, but you know, at a certain point, even the diehard fans will say this is kind of, you know, we're taking the piss a bit here now, aren't we?
yeah.
Now he's got a beard now, and all, you know, and like, you know, it's he's like, you keep having to explain how he's getting older. But this is a guy who will keep coming back to that franchise, will keep finding ways to come back to that
Yeah.
franchise, and he wouldn't come back for a Predator film that had Shane Black in it, the guy that was in the original film with him.
Yeah. I
Like,
wonder. I wonder if,
what does it say? Like, I
and
don't know.
again, we could find this out with a quick Google. I wonder if he read the script, or whether his agent read the script and said no.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I wonder
yeah,
how close he got to the actual production of it. But
yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
think,
it's an
yeah.
interesting thing. I mean, maybe in the
I'd be
future we don't
interested in
know.
knowing what I'd be interested in knowing what Shane Black's experience of making this film was as well, because I do want to know how much was this a studio project to try and kickstart people's love interest with this franchise again. I don't know.
Mm.
Um,
Well, I mean, Disney. I mean, Prey is looking to be a huge success, going
mm,
to launch a huge career for
mm,
Amber Mid Thunder. Like, it feels like she's arrived. Like, she's going to be massive.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
great in this, and Disney are rebooting some really solid franchises, and they have been for a few years now. And maybe this will be rebooted. We don't know. Maybe this will mean we will get Dutch. We don't know. Yeah.
Imagine a Predator movie where she, or a Prey movie, a Prey sequel, like the third movie in the trilogy, whatever. She ends up boarding a ship, and then should we see her again in the present then, or something, with Schwarzenegger years from now?
Yeah.
Like she's, you know, aged into a role where she and Schwarzenegger can then
Oh
do their
God.
thing. That'd be amazing, wouldn't
I don't
it?
know. I'd like to see it as a fanboy, but I don't know. We might be going down the Predator route if we're not
Yeah, I know.
careful.
We're like, we're
We're the
ruining the
problem. We
franchise.
are the
Everybody's
problem
like,
here.
shut up. Anyway, go on. All right.
So right, back to point one: lack of horror
Yeah.
and suspense. It's very tonally different. We have the squad, who are called the
Mm,
Loonies, and they're great. The camaraderie between those guys is great, and they've introduced a vulnerability to them, which I kind of get. I kind of get that, but I don't know. It makes them. I don't. It seems like there's less fear and
mm,
less. I mean, to be fair, what was happening in the original Predator, these massive alpha males were being emasculated entirely by this thing that was just destroying them. They'd never lost a fight in their whole life, and this doesn't necessarily say that. This gives us people who are broken and hilarious and quite tough, but I don't know. There's a suicidal guy in there. There's two guys who are very
mm.
afraid and very brave at the same time, and I don't know. There's something about it that lacks. What do you think about the team versus the Predator?
Oh, I completely disagree with you on every point you just made about this group. I would
Hang on. I did say there is a team of guys. You can't disagree with that, right?
No, no, that's fine. I would wipe all of them off the face of the earth, like story wise, and just like start over. Like I hated those characters. I'm sorry, I don't know. Maybe it goes back to the way I dislike you know, I love aliens, but I'm not a big fan of the marine group. You know, the unit. I feel like that's what I'm. I can tolerate Jesse Ventura and co in Predator because I'm yeah, I don't know. I can go along with it, but I did not enjoy being around these characters in this movie.
Mm,
I felt the way Olivia Munn felt, of the way her character felt in that movie. Casey, I
mm,
like she's very like uncomfortable around this gang, and I just was like, yeah, I just did not yeah, I don't know, and I do think yeah, they are a much more vulnerable group of people, but I don't think that's what you need in a movie about a predator.
mm.
Like if you want to go back down the road of that macho kind of group, and I know that they're not the macho group, but if you want to go down that road of it's a group of guys being picked off one by one by the predator, I would be aiming for more skill rather than like calling them the loonies doesn't bode
Mm,
well, doesn't say much about the predator
totally.
that's
Yeah.
struggling to kill them. Then you've got to make this an elite group. It's always got to be an elite group because it looks like the predator ran out of targets.
Hmm.
I know the predator didn't come to hunt this time,
Yes.
but
Yeah, yeah.
but I imagine that's one of the things we'll have to fix as well.
I
I don't
think
know.
we.
I would have made them an elite group that and Boyd is it Boyd Holbrook?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
He's his role in Narcos and so on. I think has established him that he can be an elite person. You can
Hmm.
you can buy him as a credible elite member of a unit. This is the guy who brought down Pablo Escobar. So that's okay. We can buy him in this
Yeah.
role to to take down, to go head to head with the predator. And I did buy into him as almost like another version of Dutch in a way. I
Yeah,
just
I
I
think he
just
plays
didn't
it
feel the
well.
rest. I just didn't feel the rest of the unit had any credibility behind them as people who would be capable of outsmarting the predator.
Okay,
Um,
I don't disagree about the guys not being right.
mm,
I like them, but I
mm.
didn't say they were right for the movie.
Yeah, no,
So
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like the actors. I like Key and James as the little duo, and
Oh, I love the actors. Yeah, I love the
I
actors
like
as well.
that.
Yeah,
But there's an unusual imbalance between them being imbalanced and the fear they should be experiencing,
mm,
and the potential that they're going to lose a fight and die for the first time in their lives. If you're going to take the camaraderie from the first film, you need to take that as well. The fact that Boyd Holbrook has already had a encounter with a predator, and he knows what it looks like. He knows everything. Well, he knows quite a lot of things about it. Like for me, that kind of takes away from the fear. He's got, oh, it goes
yeah,
invisible.
yeah,
I've seen it. I've knocked it out. I've
yeah.
taken, that he's not immediately terrified that this thing is just going to wipe them out because he's already knocked it on its arse.
Yeah,
So
no, you might as well just put Superman in there.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
yeah.
So
You
I
know,
think.
no, what I was going to say
Go on, John.
was I actually, as much as I've had issues, and I've come around to the gang in Aliens. I don't hate them, but it's like I've always found them not to be a very credible Marine unit. Like I'm not sending those guys to go after Bin Laden. Like it's and the yeah, and so I'm just waiting. Like it's just watching them get picked off one by one
Yes.
by an alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd love to see that gang go up against the Predator
Mm.
because I think that will be a great movie. And I think they would actually be. It would be a different, somehow a different dynamic there. And actually, maybe that's what you can still have the
Mm.
quirky characters, and you still have the characters that the kind of chauvinist characters, and and so on. But and
Mm.
people who are unbalanced and so on. But I think there's something about that dynamic that James Cameron created that I think would have fit really well into this movie.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of them being.
The
uh,
archetype for
Yeah,
it.
the
Yeah,
archetypes. You need an
yeah,
archetype in this film. It's
yeah,
following the footsteps of one of the most archetypal films ever made. And I think there are other teams that I had thought of as well in this scenario, and I know the film was very divisive and seen as a flop in some people's eyes. But the team at the Army of the Dead, the soldiers, not the other
mm,
guys, where they were tough and they were like genuine soldiers, and
Yeah, yeah,
they'd been in the shit, and they were slightly damaged. That
yeah.
kind of and again, the Colonial Marines, we get a similar kind of
Colonial
thing.
Marines.
They're not the loonies, they're
Yeah.
Marines who've been in the shit, and it's you can see that it's
Yeah.
they are useful in this scenario. I didn't dislike the idea that they were locked up. What it did make
No.
me think is that we could introduce a sort of a Suicide Squad sort of
I was just
theme
gonna
here.
say, yeah. I
That
was just gonna say.
these
Yeah.
guys are the toughest hombres that were ever in the field. They either got framed or they're just actual evil buggers in a way. They went over the top, and they've been locked up. And either the decision is made, okay, we need to unlock these maniacs to try and take the Predator out, or they're wrapped up in it somehow.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch you. It's the A team versus the Predator.
Okay,
All right? No,
nice.
because
Yeah, yeah,
they go around in a van, don't they? I mean, as in this movie, am I mistaken? There's
yeah.
like a moment where they're all sitting in a van. It's like, all right. So you've got this gang who have been framed. They're I don't know. They're given a chance to, or they just crossed the wrong people, and they're like
Yeah.
they did something good for once, and now they got to pay the price. Because
Court-martialed, disobeying
yeah,
orders, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
and you're all there, and you're being transported away, and you get caught up in this thing, and it's, well, we've got a chance to get away, but we're not going to. We're going to stay and fight because it's the right thing to do, and we're
Mm.
going to actually maybe right the wrongs of our past, whatever. And there you go. You've got a, if you're going to play with archetypes, there's your archetype. It's
That's
it's the
nice.
it's the Colonial Marines who've now become the A team.
Yeah. Okay, the A team. We're gonna have the
Yeah,
A team up there, and these
yeah,
guys are going to be really tough. The guards are
yeah,
scared of them. Everyone is scared of them. They are the ultimate warriors of humanity,
yeah,
and they're getting killed by the predator. So they're scared, and
yeah.
with that suspense, that idea that they can't take it out. And there is a few. There's a whole act before, if it bleeds, we can kill it, in the first one. And that before they're reeling a lot from it, and we need that in this. And this could work. I think we could
You
have this in
need
there.
you need one of the great things I loved about and I forgot this was in the first Predator film. I was watching it again last weekend, and it was the woman that they capture. She explains that the elders in her community would talk about this monster, this beast
Yeah.
that would come and it was every 100 years or whatever it was, or and would take people away, or the skulls or
Mm,
whatever, and she's like, she's describing this as in the first time this has happened,
mm,
and I love that idea, like, it's this has become local myth, this has become folk legend,
mm,
and I think you could do something similar where maybe maybe this group have committed some atrocity on the battlefield,
mm.
and one of them is a spiritual person and believes this is death coming for us, because we escaped death. We were supposed to be put on death row like the A team.
Mm.
We escaped because of this incident that happened,
Death
but
is coming.
death is coming for us, and you
Well,
got to you will not get away.
we have another Billy then, don't we? We have, because
Yeah,
he knows that they're going to die very early on, and he says it. And
yeah,
I mean, there's almost a comedic beat in it. It's like
yeah,
they're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
Billy,
yeah,
what
yeah,
can you hear? And he says, it's not good. Blah 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 blah. We're all gonna die. And
yeah,
one
yeah,
of them
yeah. It's
basically
very
goes,
good.
"Oh god." It's just there is almost a comedic beat in
Yeah.
it, but it is terrifying at the same time. It's like, oh my god, he's possibly the most steely-eyed one of all of them, bar maybe Dutch, and he is losing it. And it's like, yeah, I can see how the idea that there might be a that they surely call him preach or something like that, and
Mm.
he's,
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? And the fact that he would be the calm one losing it because he thinks it's doomsday adds a bit of trepidation and a bit of horror and suspense
Mm.
to this thing. Um, I think the next point ties very much into this one and the one after, which is that they changed the premise, the motivation of the predators coming to the planet. Now, I I don't just want to say keep it how it was, but it feels like that would solve a lot of things. Like, because we've got these guys coming to hunt, and it all of a sudden makes them bad guys. they're coming to take the skulls and they're coming to hunt humanity. Great. I that
Mm.
works for me. I like that. I mean, how do you feel about the change in the premise?
Yeah, I felt it was I understand why they did it. You can't just keep making Predator. Like, if you're going to do a franchise around Predator, if this was going to be a success and then you do more of them, you've got to give the Predators more than just "we come to kill," because then every movie becomes like a wrestling match, and you got to have something more. And I get that,
Mm,
but I also think you can shake it up in a way where it doesn't have to be as complicated as, climate change and now they want the planet and
mm,
blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. I think it can just be something as simple as, you know one of our predators came down here in the 80s, didn't make it back, and you know the tech was stolen by the government, which is fine. That's all good. I'm fine with that. But they saw a big explosion. They would have investigated, like, at the end of that first movie. And now we've come to get it back,
mm,
because we can't allow the humans to become advanced enough where they can beat us all the time. And it can just be as simple as that. I've come to get this piece of tech and I'm going to leave again. And I'm not here for a trial, because I'm not one of these. I'm not a young predator. I'm assuming the other predators who come for these hunting, like, these are rites of passage.
mm.
So I'm assuming these are like the inexperienced predators, which again is a great narrative device that allows them to get killed and still maintain the strength of the predators as a
Yeah.
species. But maybe this is the predator who didn't have, they did the rite of passage a century ago,
Mm,
and now they're here to reclaim something maybe that belonged to, I don't know if you want to go as far as it was it was like part of my clan or something.
mm,
And you could make it as like it's reclaiming, like, my you could almost do it like as in cult, reappropriating, or not
repatriation.
taking back what was taken from my culture or my people. You could almost do
Mm,
something like that, where it's tapping into some sort of maybe colonialism metaphor or something. I don't know, but I like the idea of that. Yeah, we have something. We know what's going on. Not every Predator movie is going to be us oblivious to this threat, and then second act is us realizing what it is, and then hearing a story that this has happened before. Like,
mm,
it can actually just be like, we know that this threat exists from the beginning, and now they've come for us. But our characters don't need to know that.
mm.
Like, they can learn that from someone else later. But at least it doesn't feel like the world is constantly waking up, forgetting that the predators exist. So I would do
Yes.
some. I would do something along the lines of where the world is a bit more clued into what the predators are, and we have a predator who isn't here for a rite of passage because they're actually a legendary warrior
Mm,
and will not be so easily defeated. And it doesn't have to be a case that the predator is beaten. You can preserve the strength of that predator. You don't always
mm,
have to beat the predator. The predator can achieve its goal and leave.
mhm.
I do think the world domination is a bit too much.
Yeah, I like the idea that it's a more seasoned predator. I didn't dislike the idea of they might take the planet,
Mm,
because the global warming thing kind of does fit. The story since 1987 has been they only come when it's hot.
mm.
It's getting hotter. It just kind of slots in there as a narrative. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to use it, but it could be an underlying issue.
Here's my
We've
question. Here's my question. This kind of goes back. I'm thinking of Alan Grant. T-Rex doesn't want to be
yeah,
fed; it wants to hunt. Right?
yeah,
Does does it break their, like, they've got the ultimate Westworld here? I'm a diehard Westworld fan, so, like, this is the ultimate Westworld for predators, right? You can come down here, you can have
yes,
your fun, you can do all this, and you can leave. Occasionally, a predator will get killed, but we can chalk that up to arrogance or youth. But does it break the point of why they come here if they enslave the planet?
mm.
because then suddenly it's, well, we're not hunting you in your natural terrain anymore. Like it's is it like in Prey hunting a bear that's already been kind of broken, in some way, or trying to lasso a horse that's already been domesticated. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
kind of feels like if the idea is we've got this beautiful hunting ground here with all these different climates and all that kind of stuff, uh and perfect testing ground no matter where you want to go, and all these different societies with their different weapons and different styles and all that. It's the perfect hunting ground. Why would you ruin that? So
mm.
that's my only question about, like, is there coming to take over Earth, or you know is that actually necessary?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it needs to be the core of it, but
Mm,
I wouldn't. I think there could be an underlying secondary story here somehow about that, because it just feels so right that not the story they've used, but they come back when it's hot. It's going to be hot all the time soon, and there's a whole other thread there. But could it be a ticking clock in the background for something? We've got Jake Busey
mm.
doing research like his daddy was like 20 years ago or whatever it is, or if not longer. And is there a backstory that he's, they know that they're taking core samples, they know they're checking the temperature, they know they're coming back to hunt and also take samples back, and they think it's because X, Y, and Z. And then can we sort of get it into the story that, I don't know, if they decoded something, have they found a bit of technology, did they kill one of them and they've gone through all his machines and everything and found that there is a tipping point, and it's now. And if they don't stop this predator getting back to his ship, then that's it. They're going to send a message, and they will be inundated with mandibles and dreadlocks coming from space. And
Okay,
is
you could. Okay, if you did this thing where the predators have to go on a hell of a journey. It's not like they can just monitor Earth from. They. It's like it's walkabout. You got to
mm,
go out there into what you got to take a chance. You can't just scout it ahead of time. And it's okay. We know now is the time to go. Normally, this is the period to go. So one of them has now ventured out to do their hunt. They've
mm,
learned something while they're here, and they're going to report. They want to go back. We cannot let them. Yeah, I like that. I think there's something about that. I don't know how you communicate all that and how they discover all that, but
mm,
I like the idea that this isn't about world domination. This is going to be, it's like they've struck oil, and now everybody's going to come here. It's like the
mm,
gold rush now. You do something like that where, again, you can link it back to some sort of um invader kind of mentality through history,
yeah,
where we've discovered something, so now everybody's going there and is going to disrupt this thing. And we're holding on by a thread here to the last beautiful parts of our planet, and this predator is going to do what the predator always does. But then, I'm sorry to kind of ramble on here, but I am also of the feeling that the predators are just smarter than that.
mm,
Like, they seem like they're kind of the perfect hybrid between nature and technology.
yes.
And I don't know if they would want to spoil the land. That's the
Yeah, it's
thing
their
that
game.
I
You're
think
right. You're right. It's their game reserve, isn't it? It's their
yeah,
place. It's their Westworld. So yeah, you're right.
I do
How
feel like,
about there's an underlying
yeah,
message? They're coming more frequently. They just come
yeah,
more frequently. They used to come
yeah,
every 100 years.
yeah,
Now they're coming
yeah,
every 5 years because it's hot
yeah,
enough for them.
yeah.
Um, I did have a thought just now about why they're here.
Go on.
So the next 2 points are about the predator motivation, the splicing the DNA. I don't think we need that, and the global warming. They're just come more
Yeah, yeah,
frequently,
okay.
and we have this weird ultimate predator thing going on. Now, the ultimate predator doesn't have to be enormous. He can just be the best predator.
Hmm.
He's got like tattoos on his arm for all the kills he's done.
Hmm.
So without stepping any of the size of the predator or anything, the hunt could be the thing that we evolve here. What if they've brought back a fugitive predator with them, and they chuck him out on the planet with no gear, and they hunt him? So they're
Hmm.
here to hunt one of their own who's a fugitive. And then there's a duality with the predator fugitive getting out and the prisoners getting out.
And so
So
that's your way of keeping the two predators without it being without getting into the cloning and or the DNA
yeah,
style
so
of
they're
thing. Yeah,
here
yeah,
to
yeah.
hunt.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah.
kind of fits in with Rodriguez's Predators. I know he produced it and directed, but
Mm,
I like Predators because I like the way it expands the kind of the lore of what they are and as a species and I yeah, I do think that would tie in, that would fit in nicely to that, to the kind of stuff we learned there as well. Like this isn't just an army of predators who just stand in a line and they're occasionally sent off on a test, to Earth. This is these are clans. These are in many ways similar to the kind of experiences that uh, the characters in the most recent Prey might have.
mm,
Waking up in the morning and maybe having to hunt for food, or maybe having to pack up and move to a more safer location because there's another tribe over here, closing in. In this case, the Europeans. Um, yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah, I think that would be very good.
mm.
Yeah,
So,
and you can almost create sympathy for one predator over another. Yeah.
well, I also had the thought that these guys, they are soldiers and mercenaries of their species, right?
Mm.
So that, and again, this doesn't necessarily have to go in there. It just came to me as we were talking that they're scientists and developers and astrophysicists probably aren't like that. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like the whole
Yeah.
species is almost certainly not like that because
Yeah.
they've, as I said earlier, they've conquered intergalactic travel. Like that is, see, you need some serious like intelligence to do that. Like we
Yeah.
are, we are hundreds of years away, if not more, to
From
do
getting close to
to
anything
get
like
that.
that.
Unless we
Yeah.
get stuck in Fermi's paradox and we get wiped out before then, but like you need
Well,
some serious development, evolution,
yeah.
and intelligence to do that. So these guys are the tip of the spear, right? They're the
Yeah.
hard asses who go right. We're going to go and do our, our passage, our rites of passage, our hunt, whatever it is, And then these guys are the ones that are. I don't know if they'd be policemen or what. Are they? Are they prison guards? So yeah, let's just hunt this guy on this planet. Like, are they corrupt prison guards? Are they seeing this as the ultimate hunt? Like, what are their motivations for doing this? I guess with this prisoner.
For having fun with this
Yeah.
fugitive. You could make it so that it doesn't have to be like something they've organized. It could be where the fugitive has come here and they've
Mm,
followed, and it's like we need to stop this person. And maybe it could be, if you want to do the world domination thing, you could have it be this fugitive is trying to destroy the game, the like this is where these predators hunt,
mm,
and this predator wants to destroy the hunting ground,
mm. How would
and I
how
don't
would
know.
we set with, because obviously we don't have any language,
Yeah,
and
that's the challenge.
we're
Yeah.
definitely not translating like it did in this.
No,
We're not
no,
doing
no.
that.
That is the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't take much for us to just have to get. We could figure out very quickly. This is one predator. Maybe two or three predators. You know what you do? Okay, let's say you've got two or three predators have landed, and they're moving along, and then um, one of them just gets killed. One of them just like blasts and falls to the ground. And then you follow the laser and you get up to a tree and you see it's another predator.
Hmm.
And then there's a shootout and he runs away. And it's like, okay, so one predator just killed another. Like this group are working together to kill this guy, and he's done. You give him an iconic mask so you can distinguish him from somebody else, and we
Hmm.
don't know why. And it can just be, a cool moment where he's just kind of signing to Boyd Holbrook about what he's who he is and who they are,
Hmm.
and Boyd Holbrook just piecing it together in the moment will be enough, I think. But I think you could easily explain that they are not me. I am not like them.
So what is he
Um,
an act? He's like a humanity activist or something.
I don't know. It could just be I'm a rival clan,
Mm,
and I'm not going to hunt you because actually, um, you're my best bet at survival. It could be as simple as that. I don't know. Look, I think here's the thing. It's not what we're creating isn't perfect here, but I still think it's better and more personal and more
mm,
character driven than the kind of convolutedness of what they did. The idea of a group of predators have come to kill another predator who's gone rogue is easy. Like, I don't need to know the details behind that because Boyd Holbrook doesn't really need to know the details behind that. He just needs to know they're against each other now. So let's see if we can stop them. Let's
mm,
see if we can exploit this and stop them. And then guess what? One of them doesn't die. Like the fugitive survives, and I don't know. You can have your happy ending, or dies in a somewhat kind of tragic way. It's like, oh wow, you've made us care about this predator.
mm,
I don't know. I feel like something like that. On the subject of scientist predators, one problem I've always had with I've got two problems with the predators as a species. One is, and this is to do with costume design, the their hands, their claws are so weird that I'm doing this thing on the webcam now. But they're so like when he's trying to heal himself in the first Predator movie, it's so clumsy the way he holds the stuff.
yes, and
Go back.
he's trying to push the buttons like that with his giant
Yeah,
fingernails.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like he's using the back of the knuckle, to push the buttons because his fingers are just going to bend, like the tips of his fingers the plastic is going to bend, and it's very weird. And I don't believe that species could be the the weapon wielding kind of badasses that they could be.
mm,
I think it's clever camera work that's allowing us to sell us on that. And I think that's a big part of like how do they get to be that evolved when he can barely hold something in his hand. The other issue I have, I know that's just costume design, but I don't
mm.
know. He's got these extreme close-ups in the movies of his hands, and it is a bit this I don't know. It creates a narrative
And he
dissonance, I
never
guess.
seems to break a nail either. He
Never seems to
manages to
break a
do
nail.
all that and not break a nail.
The other issue I have is this: why do they, if they're such great hunters, why do they need to go invisible? Anybody's a great hunter if you can go invisible. Like, I don't have a problem with the weapons. In fact, in Prey, I love the weapons. They're very
Mm,
primal weapons, and they're in line with the kind of primitive technology that the Native Americans would have had, for example. But it's I don't ever like the fact that they're invisible because to me that's just, while it's cool when I'm a kid watching, I'm like, oh wow, that thing can go invisible. And as a video game, it's great because it's like, yeah, I can go invisible. But I'm like, you're clearly not a good hunter if you have to go invisible because it's like anybody can do that. Anybody can just wait in the trees and kill
mm.
the badass Dutch and gang without, if I'm invisible.
Well, I
Anybody
don't
can
know.
kill a xenomorph. I could kill a xenomorph if I was invisible and
I
had a
always
laser
saw that.
blaster.
I always saw that as like we camouflage ourselves from one another in the theatre of war constantly. It's just an upgrade of that. They can camouflage themselves entirely. They're see
Sure,
through.
but I would. Nobody believes that they're suddenly safe from gunfire if they put on the camo
Mm.
cream on their face, for example, right, or the paint on their face. No, but like Dutch isn't suddenly like putting the thing on his face, or in Commando, for example, when he puts the black kind of stuff on his face,
Yeah,
you're not thinking, well, that's it. I'm now,
he's
I've got one
impermeable
up
to
on,
bullet
yeah,
fire.
I've got one up on you guys now, haven't I? Like
Yeah.
that's not how it works. Yes, it's camouflage, but like nobody is banking the farm on them just because they wear the right camo.
But
It's
I think they make a point
I,
of that though in the films because they take the gear off to
yeah,
fight a number of times, and I think that is them
but I
going,
like
"Okay,
yeah.
you're a worthy warrior. I want to
Yeah,
fight you properly."
I like those moments, and if in Prey, and not to spoil Prey, but there's a moment where where the predator takes on a wolf,
Mm,
right, and it's a really cool moment, and it really bigs up the idea that it doesn't have to be Dutch that you're taking on to get your fix. Like
mm,
the creatures of the wild on planet Earth are more than a match, more than a match,
mm,
and I just think if he came down, if he was invisible while he's scouting the land, and then says, "Okay, a wolf, I'm going to take on this wolf," and he comes down, and then he he reveals himself to the wolf and says, "Okay, let's do this." Then,
Mm,
or he's lured the wolf. He's he's trailed the wolf, but then the attack will be face to face, and it will be mano a mano, so to speak.
mm.
That I'd have no problem with. But it's the idea of like, oh, you killed a wolf while you're invisible. Great. Like that. I mean, yeah, of course
Yeah,
the wolf was at a
yeah, yeah,
disadvantage.
yeah.
I just feel like that's not the same.
I
So
get that.
I think I would like, if we're going to do our version here, I'd like it so that our prey in this film, the fugitive, doesn't have that tech,
He doesn't have the
and
gear. Okay.
proves itself to be worthy by not having to rely on the tech. There you go. My rant is over. There you go.
Right. I think that's great that he's completely, you know, he's got no guns, he's unarmed, he's got nothing, he's got no defense, he's got no armor. But is he trying to get to it? Which is again what happens in this film. He's trying to get his armor back, right?
I feel I have to apologize to everybody for that rant. That was such an extreme rant
It
about
wouldn't be a
cloaking
podcast without
technology.
a John rant.
You had 20 years to make that. No. But I know, but I like that idea, and that literally just came to me right there in that moment.
So he's got nothing. He's
Yeah, I like
defenseless.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
he's got his brawn and his wits basically,
Yeah.
and he is trying to get to. Is there a predator armor somewhere? Has Jake Busey got a predator armor? There has been predators on the planet. He's got predator armor, and the predator's trying to get to it. Has he got one little thing left on his body that's like bleep bleep bleep? Yeah, I can go that way and get some armor and
That'd be
get tooled
cool.
up.
Yeah, it's a supply stash. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be cool. Yeah, but I like, you know what? Give me half the movie without any tech,
Yes.
and I'm like, okay, you're a worthy foe. You're worthy of the title Predator.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you know what? The wolf hunting you, the jaguar hunting you in the wild, doesn't get to go invisible.
Yeah.
The great white
Absolutely.
shark doesn't go
That's
invisible.
great.
Yeah.
So I think we've got most of the ingredients here to come up with a narrative, barring what is the conflict, like the threat to humanity. So we've got these predators. There's a rogue predator, as in this film. So we're not moving too far away from it, but it's not to do with the DNA scraping and the global warming. They're coming more frequently because of global warming, but this is a convict or a rival clan of theirs, and now they're hunting him. So this time they're hunting one another, and we're trapped in the middle. So great, we've got a conflict, but what is the threat? What is the thread that runs through it? What's the trepidation? Because in Predator 1, it's their lives. They're isolated, and if they don't get to the chopper, they will die at the hands of this thing. They have to try and kill it. Not too dissimilar in Predator 2. Not too dissimilar. Yes, there is a whole city of people, but Danny Glover's trying to figure out what it is. Can he kill it? Or it's a similar kind of thing. But then when we get here, I think we probably need to ramp it up a little bit. Yes, they tried to do. Oh, they're going to come and wipe out the Earth because they want it, but it didn't feel super clear, and it didn't feel true to the Predators in a way, like because they changed the whole premise of why they come. So you were saying about it's their favorite game reserve and all this kind of stuff. Is there a threat in there? Like you were saying, have they decided to wipe the slate clean and reseed the planet? And they did the predator disagree. The convict predator disagrees with that.
You could do something where, so the way Jurassic Park, they had their backup. They had their was it their not their backup, their plan B in case something went wrong. Like we've got I think they call it the lysine contingency or something like that, where like the we could put that into effect. It's like that is out of the question, and it's like there is this plan that they have, like if things go crazy. And I feel like I've been watching Westworld. Like I feel like they probably would have had that kind of stuff in there as well if things hadn't
Mhm.
gotten out of control. If this is some sort of a reserve, and it's just like we just leave the humans to their thing, um, maybe they have a built-in contingency if things get out of control on that planet. Like, yeah, if we need to repopulate that planet or reseed that planet, like we can press a button or we can activate something that we've buried in the ground centuries ago or something like that, and it's this will, or we've been monitoring like these particular places like are dangerous,
Mm.
and so we have a contingency, and it could be that this fugitives come down, things are getting out of hand, more predators are visiting this planet, the game has changed,
Mm.
and the humans are becoming far more aware. This is like, how many times have predators died on planet Earth
Mm.
at this point? Like, technically, in the Predator, prey will have happened as well in the past, and presumably prey 2 and 3 will have happened as well. So you can make the argument that like a lot of predators have died coming to Earth. This is
Mm.
not the species we thought they were. These are not the species that were. These are no longer the species that were foraging for just kind of awakened, so to speak.
Mm.
Like, they now have harnessed the power of the atom,
Yeah.
and they're destroying their own planet. We cannot risk any, like, this. Like, people are just like, our species are dying if they come here, and
Yeah,
maybe
so we're
actually,
going sort of
maybe,
engineer sort of
yeah,
thing, like
maybe it's
in the
maybe it's
Alien
yeah,
kind of guys.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Maybe it's that actually, this fugitive maybe has come here to do something terrible. Maybe that's your big twist in the third act, is like, you thought you were helping this predator, but by keeping this predator alive, you were actually, we're working together to stop the other gang who's been hunting
Mm.
us. But actually, by keeping this predator alive, it turns out this predator was actually here to do something bad, and that was activate this contingency. And the other predators are like, no, stop it. This is
Mm.
our game. We love this. Yeah, this is our park. Like, we're greedy. Like
Yeah, so
this.
I mean, what could be the device around maybe it's something to do with like fault lines, or
Yeah, it could be. I
do
don't
do you
know.
know what I mean? Because you could see the whole of Los Angeles fall into the sea basically if they activate
Yeah, yeah.
the
But it could be like, you don't have to destroy the world to shut down humanity. It could be electronic pulse
mm.
that just goes crazy and shuts down the electrical system in North America, and that is going to have a trickle down effect around the rest of the world then, in terms of the economy and all that. Like, if
Mm.
they've been monitoring the planet as long as they have, they're pretty smart to figure out, like, okay, if we target this place, that's going to have a trickle down effect across the rest of the world.
Mm.
I mean, like, let's not forget, a ship got lodged in one of was it was it where was it, the Suez Canal, Panama Canal, or
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and 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 like, that was it. Like, I mean, it couldn't get a PlayStation for a year. You know what I mean? It was like,
yeah.
it's as simple as that, really, isn't it? For our planet to just come to a
Yeah.
grinding halt. So it doesn't have to be something, hugely complex. It can be, we're going to wipe out the electric, the what do you call it, the electric board, I don't know, whatever you
Mm.
call it, the electricity system for North America, for the west coast of America or something, and that's
Mm.
going to be enough to just decimate the global economy.
Yeah.
And suddenly we're all back in the Stone Age, to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, there's
It's held
electricity.
us off.
There's obviously energy of all sorts, like
I like the fault line. I like that idea.
yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah,
nukes as well. I mean, they could try and use our own
yeah,
harnessing of the
yeah,
atom against us in some
yeah.
sort of like poetic justice. Um, but so are we saying the team of predators are here to stop the rogue predator destroying the planet?
I
Because
think I think you frame it as, these are a group of hunters who just love this game. They just love the thrill, and this other rogue predator may have come here to say, like, enough is enough. I'm doing you guys a favor by stopping you in your tracks right now.
mm,
The predators won't come and kill you, and they won't come anymore if the climate changes. If the climate keeps getting hotter, they're going to come in their masses. I'm
mm,
doing you a favor by shutting down your infrastructure right now.
mm,
Or it could even be something as simple as, like, they found something centuries ago, or they found something in the ground that was from the predators, or they found something from a previous predator attack. Maybe your film opens with a previous predator attack, so we're almost getting two movies in one. Like
Okay,
we're
yeah.
seeing, and then they found something from that they've taken in. They don't realize it's a weapon that's going to just annihilate the whatever,
So it's like a
and
kill switch.
yeah, they don't, yeah,
They've left that on the planet
yeah.
by mistake, and they're here to retrieve it.
And you thought you had beaten us, but no, that was, we had left it here intentionally so you could destroy yourselves. Maybe the fugitive is here to stop them. We lured you into a false sense of security, thinking you had beaten us, or
Mm,
you'd beaten one of us, and you took it, and we knew you would take the technology in, and we knew you would destroy yourselves. I don't know.
mm.
I mean, that's probably a bit more convoluted than it needs to be, but
Well, I think that yeah, I think we want to try and keep it linear, don't we? So
mm,
if we rattle through the points, I think we'll probably end up coming to realization how complicated the
mm,
threat needs to be. So we're gonna have the A team basically. It's going to
mm,
be a team of marshaled hard asses who have they are like the ultimate, rangers slash marines slash like badass soldiers. And they're incarcerated. They've been imprisoned and they're on death row. Well, where does it have to be death row? They can just be in a military prison. Um, when the predators arrive, the government release them to fight them. They're like,
mm,
okay, you have to do what we say because the planet's under threat. The predators themselves, they're going to be hunting each other. There's going to be one versus maybe three.
mm,
Um, they come to the planet, and it's not entirely clear what's happening, but people are stuck in the middle. The governments are aware that the I guess the American government in this film would be aware of the predators, which is why when they turn up, they release these badasses, the Suicide Squad team, to go and take them out. And these guys start getting destroyed one by one before they figure out what's going on. Um, we're not going to have ultimate predators. We're not going to have killer predator suits. We're not going to have any sort of like DNA scraping. These predators are just going to be there's one or two of them just going to be way better than the other ones. It's going to be visible in their armor, in the way they hold themselves. So we're just going to get the creme de la creme of predators. This conflict between them is what's going to lead to the whatever the threat is that we still
I have an
haven't nailed
idea.
down yet.
I have an idea. Anyway,
Go on
go
then.
on. No, continue. Keep going.
Well, I was going to say that whatever the threat is what they're going to be feuding over. It initially feels like they're hunting one another and they're here
Mm.
to hunt one another on our planet, but then it turns out there's a threat, which is John. What is it?
Well, no, I don't have a one-word answer for it.
Uh,
Okay, we continue doing the whole thing of turns out the predator's here to do some self-destruct and and slow down society,
hmm,
like turn society against each other, make everybody hunt each other, so to speak. Like
hmm,
let raise the stakes of the game or something like that. I'm disrupting the game, the park, so to speak,
hmm.
and the ecosystem of the park, and I'm going to use a weapon to do that. And that is why in Predator 2, isn't Predator 2 set in like LA in the future?
No, it's released in 1990, but it's set in 1997,
Okay,
so it's just 7 years in the future.
but isn't it like a really weird version of the future?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
isn't
kind of
it?
like the start of Demolition Man.
Yeah,
Which was again
it's
97, I
very
think.
over the top, like
Yeah.
very like society is collapsing, isn't it?
Yes.
It does feel like society is collapsing in that movie. You
Mm.
make it rather than okay. This is gonna blow. Sorry. Okay, you set this movie before Predator 2,
Okay.
and instead of Jake Busey's son, you have it be he's a young. Oh, sorry, rather than Jake Busey being Gary, like being Gary Busey's son,
Oh, he
you have
plays.
him be
Yeah.
his younger version of his father.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that at the time, and then it gets to a point where it's like, oh crap, this is now why the Predator wins, and now we can fast forward to Predator 2, which gives whole new agency to Predator 2, which is stuff happened in the past and now things have just gone totally bonkers now in Los
Mm.
Angeles and California and all that. And it could be something to do with the San Andreas fault line and all that kind of
So it's a
stuff.
sequel prequel.
I feel like I've complicated it, haven't I?
I like the idea of a sequel prequel, but I think
Nah,
if
I've
we're going to go
complicated it.
back
I've complicated it.
before two, I
Nah.
think we have to rehash. We need another hour and a half to rehash it.
Nah, forget it. Forget it. We'll go back. We'll go back. Anyway, the threat can just be, let's just call it, predators always love to blow themselves up at the end, don't they?
They can't get enough of it. That's their favorite thing.
So let's say, you know what? Rather than just blowing myself up, I want to blow everybody up. You know,
Okay, right.
maybe, you know what? A PTSD ridden predator who wants to destroy the game that ruined him.
Ooh.
And you're with these other PTSD soldiers, and it's like they're actually all perfectly fitting together. There you go.
Okay. Maybe he's hobbled.
Hmm.
He's been hobbled by the game, and he's coming back to end it.
There you go.
That could be quite fun,
But
couldn't it?
ending the game sounds good on paper, but actually it means ending us, doesn't it? It means disrupting things just enough so that the game doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. So maybe that is it. I mean, I really shy away from predators working with humans because it just feels crazy.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
feels
yeah, yeah,
crazy,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we it doesn't mean that can't happen in a way where they're not together. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
You know, these guys that are trying to stop the predators that are butchering everyone
yeah,
sort of figure out that the guy with the arm missing and the no armor is you know, he seems like the underdog and he's doing something different. So do they align themselves with that and they're using him as bait maybe to kill the predators, but then they realize that they're protecting
yeah.
the one that's trying to destroy the planet.
I think that's your solution.
Yeah. So that's the threat, that there is a hobbled predator come back to destroy the reserve and everything on it because he's pissed.
Yeah.
The other
And he
predators,
is the predator.
yeah, he's the predator.
Like he is
The
the predator. He has been on more of these hunts than
Oh
anybody.
yeah,
Blah blah. You know, like he's the
and
guy.
now he's
Yeah,
old and he's got limbs missing and whatever else.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
not good anymore, and
yeah.
he's here to end the game. The other three predators, or more or less, they're here to stop him. They're like the police or the
No, but it's just they're
race
on their
rangers or
ultimate
whatever
rite
they
of
are.
passage. Like that's
Yeah,
their rite of passage.
they're there to hunt that guy.
I gotta bring down the elder. It's, you know, you
Yeah,
gotta take out the head of the pride. You know.
yeah.
Um,
So that's the story there, and the flip is that we the audience initially think the allegiance is the other way around. It's the three are the bad and the one is good, but it's actually the other way around. The three are trying to stop the guy
mm,
wiping the slate. So the last thing we need to figure out is how. I don't necessarily know if we need to get into how they find out, but that's what he's trying to do, because there are some quite simple cues we can do, like countdown clocks and whatever else. Obviously, a little bit more elegant than that, but you know, we could get into that for hours. But the thing is, how would they stop him? Like, what do they do to stop this hobbled ultimate warrior who can't fight anymore, but he's wily as anything? Like, what is the finale here? What are we looking at? So they kill. They don't necessarily work together, but both the predator and the humans manage to kill the other three predators, but then it leaves them vulnerable to this predator that's trying to wipe the slate of the the planet. So how, like, what is the finale here? Where,
can we bring Dutch in? No,
I mean,
is Dutch coming in?
I would love to see Dutch. I mean, are we cheapening it by bringing in Dutch at this point? Are
Maybe.
we?
Yeah, Gary Busey's son is probably enough of a.
I think he was underused.
um, I don't know. You know, part of me wants to say let's subvert all expectations and have the Predator win. You
Oh
know,
right, okay.
it doesn't have to be like the world has been destroyed. It doesn't have to be Skynet, you know, launching nukes, but it can be I've accomplished what I came here for, and now I can stop fighting.
So he,
You know, and it's like I see. I like the idea of it being you're going to become predators as well.
mm,
Like I'm gonna create a society where you're all turning on each other, or you're
Mm,
already turning on each other, and I'm gonna just ramp it up.
yeah.
And or it could be something like you're not good enough. Like I know you win every now and again, but like for me, I've fought you guys 1,000 times and I've always won, and I'm bored, and I've got PTSD, and I've gone a bit crazy and all that. And now I just want one fight where it's like a proper fight. And they actually do this in Westworld, actually, and it's I'm ramping up the stakes, and everyone's going to turn on each other.
Yeah. So is he trying to make
Maybe end of Act 2 is he actually achieves what he wanted, and now he's like the ultimate game. Ha ha
yeah, is he
ha.
trying to make it harder then? Is that what's happening? Is he
Maybe,
trying
maybe,
maybe
but like
he's
maybe,
trying
but it's all born out of craziness.
yeah, is he trying to create like a global war?
Maybe, and
So
it's just
predators have to
he's created a local disaster where everybody's now panicking,
mm,
and everybody's like fighting each other to get to the supplies in the store and all that, and hijacking each other's cars and all that. Like people are like bringing out the guns and all that, and he's created the ultimate. He's made everybody prey.
So
You know,
maybe he's trying to destabilize the planet to start nuclear war.
yeah. But he doesn't
Now
have to
that
do
doesn't
it. He doesn't have to do it on a global scale, because right now he only needs it to be a local thing so he can have his fun, and then it can just spread to become and the third act is we got to stop this guy before thing. And but by the end, like the way the Batman ends, like the damage has been done, the water is flooded, it's and now we're at a we're gonna have to move forward to try and repair. Or the argument could be there's no going back now, and that's what the Predator 2 could be like. There's no going back now.
so
um
maybe it's he's doing the fire sale out of Die Hard 4.0.
yeah,
He's knocking all of the things out that need to be
yeah,
there for society to function
yeah.
correctly, because an unstable society is a harder prey.
There you go.
Um, so yeah, he's trying to ramp up. He's gone a bit loony. I mean, I keep imagining him. He's got limbs missing, but he's got
He's
bionic
got the
arms and
arm
stuff.
missing, but he's got a blade in there instead or something.
Yeah,
It's that kind of thing. Yeah,
he's upgraded himself with technology
yeah. And you
to
know what? And he doesn't use the
he's not
tech. He
he's not
doesn't use that
happy.
because for him the invisibility is boring. For him
Yeah.
that's for the young ones. Like he doesn't use any of that stuff. He doesn't even use the laser blaster. He just uses a blade on his arm. And it's just he is the most deadly warrior you've ever met.
Okay.
And yeah, and yeah,
So
and you
then
know what? And you know what? Sorry, just it's a threat that is linked to the culture of the predators and
mm,
their ideas. It's not a threat based on global domination or that kind of
mm,
thing. It's like actually this ties into who the predators are as characters,
mm.
which was the problem, wasn't it, in this film?
Yeah, I think it's almost like, I mean, he's messing with a game reserve, so it's almost like he's a poacher.
Mm,
I mean, it's a hunting reserve, so poacher's the wrong word, but he's the bad guy in
mm.
the reserve, so he's the one that is and the other predators are basically the rangers to come and stop him messing with it.
He is the
He's trying to
guy who's going to open the gates of the reserve,
mm.
and he's going to let all hell break loose.
Yeah, so
That's it.
he's gonna make it a harder game.
Yeah,
He's lost his mind. He's PTSD'd. He's hobbled.
yeah,
But he's an extremist effectively.
yeah, yeah.
He's a predator extremist. He wants it to make the game harder. So I think that's quite interesting, and they're going to win, right?
I think they'll win to the point where chaos has broken out in the same way that the villains in the Batman movies win, but there's still hope for the future.
Does
You know,
he? So what's the final shot? Do they launch it? Does he launch a nuke? Does he knock out the electricity board? Does
No,
he
but I
destroy
would
Los
you see,
Angeles?
I would say that end of Act Two is his plan comes into fruition. And then
Hmm.
Act Three is we got to adapt now, and now the real game has begun, and we've got to stop him. And it can be a case where you know what, I've had my fun. I'm happy to lay down now. And so
Mm.
like they don't win. Like the way Mission Impossible 4, Tom Cruise wins, but he
Yeah.
doesn't win because the guy threw himself off a ledge.
Mm.
Yeah, Tom Cruise still won, but it he didn't overpower the bad guy. He didn't get the better of the bad guy. The bad
Mm.
guy just gave up, which isn't the same. Seven again, the Batman again. It's like they didn't the bad guys the hero didn't actually get the better of them.
Yeah. So
The
are we
hero
are we
still
gonna
has a
leave?
long, and I think that's the way to go. Actually, like you're not going to beat me because how could they? Let's say he's the greatest warrior of all time. His own
Mm.
predators couldn't beat him.
Yes.
So you
So
can't have him get beaten.
so he sacrifices himself happily to finish his mission
Yeah,
as part of his grand plan. He was always going to die.
yeah.
Do we leave humanity with a cleanup job, or is it this is a whole new game? Society has collapsed, and this is the new world we have to live in.
I think it's like we're going to be moving to like the purge or something. It's
Yeah.
like I think it's that kind of thing where there's hope for humanity, but like we got to pull ourselves back from the brink, which is
So
the whole
are
point
we
of the
going out?
climate.
Are we going out with a bang or a whimper at the end? Then is it a nuke launch or a
No,
physical?
I wouldn't do that, but I would have it be a case where I don't know, like we've got to you got to set up a situation where the thing they didn't want to do in Act One is now the thing they have to do at the end of Act Three. It's like
Mm.
even if it's picking up a gun, like I'll never use a gun. I'll never use like Olivia Munn's character could be like, I'll never touch a gun. Please don't put a gun in my hand, please. I'll
Mm.
stand behind you. You do all the shooting, and then end of Act Three, she picks up a gun, and it's
Mm.
like even she's become a hunter now.
Okay.
Like something like that, like where character change is the real climactic bang.
Mm.
And you can still have him blow himself up and have your bang. You know.
Yes. So we're going to have a bit more. As in the Predator, there is a bit of more human on human fighting
Hmm.
in this, which is going to be welcomed by the rogue Predator. He's
Hmm.
the one that's trying to destabilize everything, so he's making this happen.
Imagine this glorious, royal rumble of carnage. Everybody all around him, doing their thing, and he's just reveling in it from the treetops, or something. I don't know.
So I'm already knowing the answer to this as I'm saying it. Is there a device that makes us do that? Makes us fight?
No, I think that would defeat the
That
purpose.
that was the answer that was in my head.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's like what in
Look,
what
I
is it?
don't, I don't.
The Kingsman.
Yeah, yeah, no, not
That
that.
I mean that's an amazing scene. As long as we can get Freebird in this film.
Yeah. Look, I will say this: I don't think the ideas we've come up with here are the perfect Predator movie,
Mm.
but I
It feels
think
like
the goal here is we have to take a train wreck and get it going again on the tracks. And I
okay.
think we've done that.
Yeah, I think
You know?
we're pretty much there. We could do another couple of hours on this thing because I love
Yeah.
I love Predator, and we're trying to take the model of something and adjust it to fit rather than write a brand new film,
Look,
right?
I'm just happy that he doesn't have to go invisible.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna take, but we've just said that he's not. He's oh yeah he's decided not to take he
Yeah.
doesn't use the armor. He doesn't
Because
use
it's
the
too
armor. Okay,
easy.
great.
It's too
So
easy.
we're gonna have a Suicide Squad group of badasses, which is the team of loonies. They're not going to be loonies. They're going to be the A team, basically. And they're going to be imprisoned. And when the government are alerted that the predators are here fighting on the planet, they're released. They don't know anything about the predators, the gang. They're just nails. That's it. I think prior knowledge of the predators takes out the terror and the fear. Um, the predators aren't coming to Earth to scrape DNA and to take the planet. There is an internal conflict. There's the ultimate badass predator who's aged, PTSD'd, is missing a couple of limbs, and doesn't use the guns. He's coming to destabilize the planet to make it the ultimate game reserve, where everyone's armed, everyone's fighting, everything's on fire. He wants to make it a living hell, so it is harder for them to hunt because he's bored.
Yeah.
There's going to be a team of other predators who are pursuing him again, like in the predators. We've just changed the onus of it and what's happening. So they're following him. They're there to to kill him, to stop him destabilizing the planet because they like it how it is. Um, the first part of the film, the audience's idea of who's bad and who's good is the wrong way around. So it looks like the lone predator is there to help, and the trio are not there to help. They don't work directly together, but using one another's skills, they manage to kill the trio. And halfway through the film, the midpoint flip is that the lone predator is actually there to destabilize society and turn it into a warring planet. Which is the point that they have to then try and fight this ultimate warrior, who is then going through a series of steps like the fire sale of Die Hard 4.0, but probably a little bit more violent,
Mm.
to cause a warring set of factions on the planet. Um, as we get to the middle of Act or the start of Act 3, or even halfway through Act 3, the Predator actually achieves a massive amount of his goals, and a lot of the US has been destabilized. We could even sew it in that there has been some tinkering in political uh, arenas. So we can see what's happened over the last few years in Western elections has been influenced by external sources, even alien external sources. And
There's a
uh,
predator with a Donald Trump mask
yeah,
on,
he's got a
just like,
mega.
and his weird fingers.
And we are left with the predator killing himself because he feels he's achieved his ultimate goal. The humans kind of win, but they also kind of lose. And we set up a sequel with what the hell are they going to do next? Because now they're on a warring planet, and predators they're going to want to come there in their droves to fight this new version of humanity. And maybe we chuck Dutch in at the end somehow, but we haven't quite got there.
Get to the
What do you think?
chopper.
Yeah, get to the chopper. Quick, get
I,
to the chopper.
I like it. I like it. I think the political thing might be a bit too much,
Yeah, I threw that in the
but
end without any conversation.
no, I feel like that might just be just too contrived. Too much effort being put into it. Whereas actually, I just like the idea that there's a bit of anarchy here, um,
Yes.
and I feel everything else I think is really good. Actually, I think when you say it out, like all the back and forth, it can feel a bit like we're kind of clumsily putting this together sometimes.
Mm,
Testing out different ideas, and sometimes they don't work. But when you just summarize it all there, I'm like, yeah, I see this as
that could work.
I see it
But I
as a
mean,
movie. Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
that's part of the art of the craft, isn't it? Where we
Yeah.
you just spitball it until you get ideas. Again, this isn't something you could film immediately, but this is a skeleton of something you can then write
But this
into.
is the thing that I really enjoy with these episodes is I know it's easy in hindsight to armchair rewrite bad movies, but surely it's not that hard to come up with. I mean, we do this for a living. It's not that hard to actually come up with an okay movie and then from there work it to the point where it's a good movie
Mm,
or a good script at least. And
yeah.
this wasn't, the problems with this film isn't in the directing, it's in the writing.
Mm,
It's in the idea generation, and it is amazing to me that films like this sometimes can get they can drop the ball so much. And I think it is partly third act rewrites at the
mm,
last minute and all that kind of stuff plays a big role in it.
absolutely. I don't
Banking
think
the
we've
farm on
changed.
getting
We
banking the
haven't
farm on
changed
getting.
it entirely, right? We've taken some of the ideas that were already there and we've just twiddled with them.
I don't think you would
Um,
have to re-explain to all the actors why. Like, I don't think you would have to worry about too much recasting or anything like that. I don't think you'd have to worry about too much changing in the special effects budget or anything like
mhm,
that. I feel like it's at its core, it's still the same movie. Just it's a more engaging and more faithful storyline, I think, to the
mm,
genre, to the franchise.
yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
So I think we've got a skeleton there that we could work off
yeah,
if we ever wanted to write a Predator movie.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you very much, John. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Good
And
chat.
thanks, guys, for listening. This has been the Great Hollywood Rewrite from the Script Department. Please check out our website at thescriptdepartment.net for more conversations like this, and take a look at our social media. The links are in the description, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for the Script Department and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you've got any ideas of what film or TV show you want us to look at next week, hit us up in the comments or message us directly. We look forward to hearing your suggestions. Nice one.